is referred to as our Matthias. Our Matthias Day, which is normally celebrated November 7th. Those brave sons and daughters, men and women, who put their life on the line in defense of the philosophical and ideological understanding of our party. In that process, some of them may have lost their life. So they died while fighting. They died in defense of their ideological and philosophical belief. Those souls are referred to as our martyr. They represent our martyr history. So the infamous November 7th, where schools of a partisan were being murdered by the then political party regime. So each and every one of our partisans who have died under the onslaught of the United Party, we normally celebrate that. And like June, you may be aware, June is a very important and historical month in the history of the African children. So for us CDC, we also consider you take in June 16, on June 16, if you want to have a sharp reflection when you think about the situation in South Africa, you get to realize that the children of South Africa, when stood up against the apartheid regime, the injustices, they was being murdered. And so those children who lost their life become a symbol of courage, become the symbol of resistance against injustices or against apartheid. So June, every June 16 is being observed in remembrance of those brave, daring, defiant young souls who stood up for what they believe in. So for us, in our institution and in our movement, we always reflect that are men who gave their life to have us to be seated here today. There are citizens who thought to keep this place safe and peaceful, they have to give their life. The likes of James Gray, the likes of Papi So, the likes of Boyina, a lot more, scores of them, Regina, those people did not choose to die. They were rather only because they associated, only because they disagreed, only because they chose to stand out against injustices that were meted against them. So it just ended a 3-day celebration. Militancy is our philosophy. When we say militancy, we are not just talking about caring people. We are speaking clearly about the philosophical understanding about our mass-based institution. The CDC believe that when the citizen of this country make a solemn decision to join the mass-based movement, so the militant is not just only a young person, it's every partisans who subscribe to the philosophical and the ideological understanding of our institution, who are prepared to give their all in defense, their selfless, ceaseless commitment in defense to raise the banner above their personal interests, to raise the banner of this institution in defense of the people of Liberia, in defense of the people of Liberia. So we thought it was to have a series of activities And we want to say thank you for the Liberian. Even our detractors who condemn us today, they are very pleased. And we think it has given an uptick, a resuscitation, and consolidation. And that's why we said the team transforming setbacks into great comeback. Setback about some of the gaps that we may have experienced while we were governing this thing. Some of the challenges that we encounter. So we thought that while we are gearing up to come back, we must be able to do and right and do difference in some areas. And some of the gains that we make, so we can be able to sustain, it's possible, do more than what we have done. So I think it's said enough to allow our partisans to have that moral sense of understanding that it is true to come back. We will know definitely there is going to be a return of the CDC to state power. And we do not want to lie our way to power. We do not want to show any sense of desperation, because for us, it's not just about power. For us, it's about service to the people. And that's why we proudly say to you, the CDC policy, it is a people-driven policy. The United policy is an anti-people-driven policy. Evidence of the fact you see today, there are more people being dismissed in government than any other government before. There are decisions. See the motorcyclists today, the living condition of our people has escalated only because the Unity Party is a few elite group of people who believed that the vast majority of our people don't deserve to have an opportunity to live an affordable life. So we are respectful of our people, and that's why our policies were driven towards protecting them and giving an opportunity to them. So we gave that backdrop. It was a very successful program, but we want to say to you, we were overwhelmed with the activities. So we are concluding the activities on Saturday. So the remaining games will be played on Saturday, and the finals will be played on Sunday. And we are expected to be giving out the awards. We expect Honorable Senator Sargent, who has been designated to present the award, and Honorable Fallow Nathaniel McGill, who happens to be the caucus chairperson, will be presenting the certificates of honor, and our chairperson will be recognizing distinguished partisans in our party, and so that the world can know these selfless, dedicated, firebrand militant who continue to soldier on in defense of the people's struggle. Not just the people, but the populous people of our country who represent the wishes and aspiration across the 15 political subdivisions of our country. So that's why we thought it was important to let people like you be informed and to allow our partisans to get fired up, be inspired, and those of you who are affected, like we said to you, all of, not just only partisan Liberians who may have been affected by the Bwaka misroute and the Bwaka illegal dismissal, you are asked to be here on Sunday. We got news for you. We will be able, now we thought that Bwaka and his regime would have got some sanity in revisiting, but apparently they don't seem to show a semblance. They don't seem to show any semblance of sanity in governance. So we have no option but to deploy measures that will definitely compel them to comply. Because in this place, we think it's foolhardy, where people will think that governance has been transformed into their personal enterprise or into their personal property. We think no, nobody take government as a personal, what you call property or a personal decision. To guard government, you are called to serve. And you should be able to serve with distinction, some great sense of humility. You can't say because you have an opportunity to serve, then it is a sense of entitlement. No. Those of you who have an opportunity to serve, it's foolhardy to think that it is a birthright to where you occupy. And we will definitely not negotiate. Those people who you have dismissed, they are Liberians. They reserve the right. If you want to take them from job, they should be taken from job legitimately. You can't come here and intimidate people only because you think that you have a privilege to occupy a particular space. We want to say to you, our step was not in any way suggesting that you were doing the right thing. We thought that as a decent human being and as a as a respecter of the law like we are, we thought people like you who are do what is expected of a decent person. But we don't see that we don't see that being conducted among people like you. So we have no option but to ensure to do the appropriate thing, what is right. And what is right is to take the requisite measure that will compel you to engage into compliance. So we ask our people to be here, and we also want to say to you, on Sunday before you come here, we may have informed you that the political leader of our movement, His Excellency Dr. George Weah, will be returning to the country. He will be returning to the country. We want to inform you the day we call on the day of his return. We want to talk to our Liberian people. It will be a good thing for you if the day is clear, we ask you to buy your food in 3 days' time. You begin to go to market sooner and you begin to do things and get prepared, because I can assure you the return of George Weah in the country will be a beginning of a new day in Liberia. The return of George Weah will definitely begin. It will definitely be the beginning of the new day in this country. So we ask you, do not lose hope, Liberians. Remain courageous, perhaps more than ever before. We understand what you go through, but we stop to assure you that very soon, what you experience, you will become testimony of your success. And the CDC is prepared to stand by you. We've got no intention to abandon you. We will forever. We took a personal, a solemn oath as a political institution to stand and defend you. And that's why there is no price too high as an institution to pay for this country. We love this country. 12 years we kept this peace. 6 years we kept this peace. Even when we served our government, when people thought that they were going to take this country to war, see, Bishop, because we are the custodian of the peace and democracy of our country, you took the unusual decision to give power and save peace. We want to say to you, even though we love peace, but we're not going to become spectators to the suffering of our people and to the pains of our people. We will always rise up to the occasion to ensure what is justly belonging to the Liberian people. The days of redemption is out. The days of redemption is on site. Thank you so kindly.
Okay, thanks a lot. We'll go around the table. Let's start with Winston Bladden.
Honorable SG, good afternoon. My name is Winston Bladden from Bana FM. Thanks for the update and the way forward for the CDC. But I'm very concerned. Over the weekend, Mr. President George Weah spoke from the U.S. to thousands of the supporters who turned out here. He didn't stop there, but he expanded the debate on Freedom FM. The government felt offended and responded by saying, your political leader, President Weah, should shut up, should behave himself, highlighting several missteps of his administration. How is the party, the CDC, taking a statement from the Unity Party government? Most especially, the official spokesperson of the party, Honorable Jeremiah Pia, who spoke the Maker press conference on Tuesday.
I just want to summarize. The other question is
But you don't want to respond to my question?
No, I'll respond to all. Let me see. Any other question, I just summarize all in one. That's any other question?
Yes, sir. Yes. Good afternoon, Mayor. I'm Secretary General. I'm Sam Andrews, host of the talk show on Voice of Liberia 104.1. On Sunday, you assure your partisans that all of those who were supposedly dismissed by the government on partisan ground and those who were threatened to form part of your 3 days events, they should come at the party's headquarters with whatever, if it is true. You just reiterated that. So the question is, do you have the reports, the number of persons who have been affected, threatened, and if you have, Honorable SG, what measure or measures your party going to take going forward?
Well, my name is Jeremiah Moba. I report for Focus on Liberia. There have been a report in the public about the former Liberian leader will not be in a political space come 2029, attributing that to his absence in the CDC major program that we had recently. You want to speak to us about that?
Yeah, let me come in with this. So you just answered the questions once and for all. In your expose earlier, you mentioned that your party is going to do several things. You didn't mention what, but you said you will make the government be compliant with governance, something you're not doing, and you want to compel them to do in the next maybe coming days or months or whatever. What exactly will you be doing other than what you're doing now to compel the government that you say is not being compliant with governance?
So I think we're okay, eh? I think we're okay. It's a Trojan and distinguished media practitioner. Sadly, and I'll say to you, I'm not a lawyer. You don't expect me to be a counselor. Maybe in the future, I will be able to go to the law school, and that I will be. Neither am I a preacher man, so am I a reverend. Well, for now, I can safely say to you, I am a politician, and that's why I occupy a political space. So we are political people. If you be wondering what we do, obviously, you don't expect me to act, to preach a sermon. We take political measures. The political measures are geared towards compliance. And political measure will be determined by us. But for the sake of your question, you can simply say that the CDC will not be sinking sand, that the CDC will not be selling pepper color, because the CDC is not into selling pepper color. The CDC is a political institution, so as such, is we delve into doing political decision. On the other aspect, we are calling on Mr. Andrew. We do not want to operate and act in a vacuum. So we want them to come with some evidence so that we can know, as the reason we're calling them, we want to have a tutor. We have designated a committee for that. So the committee is paused and said, so they will come and they will come with the requisite document indicating their illegal dismissal, thereby putting on in the position to act politically. It's against that backdrop we are calling on our partisans. And on the other aspect about in absence of our political leader, what people are entitled to their opinion. But the CDC, like the political leader said to you, he's our political leader. The CDC is a respecter of democratic precepts. We are yet to have our primaries, so we can say to you, we do not have a candidate for 2020. What we have a political leader. Until we can go to 2029, we will be able to observe all the political regimen geared towards obtain. And we also open to collaboration. As you can see, our political leader is a very disciplined person. In 2011, there was a time in his party, he went to a democratic process where he was considered the vice candidate. But because he's a very deep and a disciplined nature person, he did not bash up the party. He was able to obey by the laws of the party. 2017, he went through a process, he was elected as the candidate of our party, and he became victorious. 2023, he went through a political process, he was elected as the candidate, and he has done that diligently. Now that we're in this area, he is our political. So there's a difference between the political leader and the party's candidate. The party candidates can only be we can only derive that as an electoral process, and that electoral process, after a fierce contestation with partisans who are interested. But for the naysayers, who I understand where you come from, the biggest political character in Liberia is the biggest political lion in the forest. So it's obvious the political antelopes who are parading the raptors, they got reason to be concerned. And they believe that if the lion is not in the forest, it is an opportunity. But it's not for me to say the lion will determine whether he's going to be in the forest or he doesn't want to be in the forest at a particular point in time. But in his absence, these political antelope and raptors can be pussyfooting and be considering that they are law unto themselves until the appropriate time reaches. But what I can say to you, that the CDC is focused on two cardinal issues. One of those issues, the CDC is focused on recalibrating, reconsiderating, re-energizing, and trying to transform a setback into a great comeback. And the second aspect is to ensure that Mr. Bouaka, as a politician, is not to help Bouaka run this country, it's to put Bouaka on trial and to allow the Liberian people to benefit from their decision they make. Our responsibility is to ensure that Mr. Bouaka is put on trial and he be compelled to comply. He has signed a social contract with the Liberian people, and service delivery. He failed to do that. The CDC is here to compel him to do that. On the other aspect, you see, it's very tempting, and I didn't want that to to even go to that because the chairperson, we are currently, he's speaking to the Liberian people, and different people he's speaking to. He had 4 cardinals argument, and we do that. The first one I'd like to pick up, he said this country where civil servants were being reduced to beggar. And Chokon, look at this. And I want you to, because you came for spoon effort, Chokon, I want you to follow this. So I want point to point, so you can follow that. I agree with him. If he said Liberian civil servants being reduced to beggar, but in a superlative way, the civil servants are not beggar anymore, they are slaves. They are left from being beggar. You know, when you're begging, you have a right. You have a right. Begging is a choice. You could choose to beg and you may not. Or maybe you have something is not sufficient. But the current civil servants have been reduced to slave. And the likes of Pierre has arrogated unto themselves as slave masters. They have reintroducing slavery and reduced Liberia into a plantation where these crook and colonists decide the fate of the Liberian people. What the next thing he said? This man said people were killed here, auditors were murdered here. Well, for the sake of your argument, you say auditors were murdered. It is the same lies that you used and you shamelessly not admitting and asking for repentance. No auditors were killed. You lied. Those are not even auditors. Natural circumstances occurred. But you lied and deceived our people. But yes, you benefited from that. You are a beneficiary of the lies. You know what's happening here? No, auditor, not our auditor. What you see happening, a massacre is taking place. Mr. Bwaka is engaged into one-ton massacre. It was described by auditor. Now citizens are being massacred. They're not government appointees. We can say to you, the country under Bwaka, no one is becoming safe anymore. If you wake up the next morning, you go to bed, you must be very grateful to God. Bwaka has instituted in his plantation an onslaught of massacre. Citizens cannot trust whether they will survive the next day. What government appointees and civil servants have been considered being reduced into slavery. And the slave masters who are owners of this plantation are whammy and downing. That's the issue. You're telling us, you say we should not be talking, and you're asking for to say him to be no. People that what you call PR, I'm not surprised about him. I know his upbringing. If you were to ask his wife, she would tell you a story about him. Today there's an issue between both of them. She was very concerned. PR is one of those kids that were, normally when you're having children, you have to decide. There was the only. PR was an unintended child that was given birth to. So you don't expect a lot from them. Sometimes when you come, you got a plan for you. But he's one of those species that were only intended for. So there was a decision whether they should abort him. But they, something happened strangely. They were hard. He said, no, I know when you read about, there was this, when we were in there was this literature about the evil forest. Yeah, Odiwadi, about the gods are not to blame. And there was a child there, And they say that child, is it the child should not be given birth to?
Good impression of this.
No, it's not. I would never go there. No, he doesn't deserve that attention. I can't do that. And I can't go personally. No, I'm too busy. I'm running a party and to ensure that the people of Liberia, CDC remain the only bastion of hope for the Liberian people. We will not leave that responsibility and give an unintended child an attention. No, we're not doing that. In fact, you journalists should be blamed. I was spoken here, we're all talking about this guy. No, but since I'm a very respectful person, I want to respect people like you. You can't ask me a question. I don't want to be. My parents decided to give birth to me, so I can't be an unintended child. You see, the decision was made, that's why you see me here. People who has unintended child, they got respect for no one. They speak loosely. You do not distinguish people of them speaking. You know, there are some opening about it. It becomes synonymous. So you do not know which side is speaking. So that's the output with Mr. Pierre. You see? So that's it. So he was very interesting. He went to another side. He talked about censure. He said people being censored left and right. You should be ashamed of yourself. And that's why we're here. Which, if you say you censure, but we stay here with our people. For you, you will not be censored. You know what will happen? The people will incarcerate you. I can assure you, the Liberian people will move from office to office. And, creatures like you will be incarcerated and apprehended by the Liberian people. Not nobody. We're not wait for, Western power where do not have understanding about what's happening here, and you celebrate it. But then we know we are victims of malicious lies. And that's why up to the time you preside here, we challenge you to point one evidence to match up what you have said. You don't have it. You don't have it. We thought you as a person should be telling us that in 6 months time, you say everything collapsed. In 6 months time, this is what you have accomplished. You yet to accomplish anything in such. And as long as you being magnanimous and being decently respectful and be asking for repentance, people appear and very soon you will see. After about market winning, we can sell Beta Boy and Pepper. Those are the people who will apprehend these people because they will be apprehended by winning. And you saw what happened when you call the AFL winning. That was just the beginning of a Chinese show. The real show to play will be right here because the Liberian people will not tolerate what is transpiring at this moment. So the response to Mr. Pierre, I don't know whether the chairperson will get some interest. I just wanted to go after step by step things he said. I don't know whether you have any other thing he said again. And he said the whole place has reduced into. He should be telling us.
So, Mr. Mayor, how do you understand that what he said that your standard bearer, former president of the Republic, which is not representative to ascribe or use such expression, that he must behave himself? If he didn't, they will go after him. As Secretary General of the party, how did you understand that? And if former President Weah gets back into the country, what as Secretary General and you people as advisors will be telling him relative to this situation?
No man, Pierre is an uphold of a paper tiger. So you don't take him serious. So see, like you found a 2-year-old kid with a blade in your hand and threatening Andrew and threatening your life. It becomes laughable. So, but Pierre is not one of the. At this time, Pierre is a product of an unattended child. It's unfortunate. He needs help, and that's why he behaves and acts the way he is. About Pierre, nobody feels comfortable to give him something else, and that's why he's being placed. And his junior brother, the aim of them, will say to LPRC, his duty will be to interpret their roles. If you have blessing upon him, his junior brother, the people, the more Ali them, will sit over an agency, and the person that PR will sit to the information ministry and be complaining and say they play, it looking like a dump site. Who sit in a dump site? He should be irresponsible and reckless. That sheer intoxication to call a place easy. His children would be, it's over daddy. So daddy offers, he said, I need dump site. Who said that where I work is a dump site? So for him to say somebody else should conduct themselves in his choice of word, it's a definition that he is indeed an unintended child, a child that was not intended to be birthed.
doesn't it have consequences to the peace that we have and we have maintained?
Huh?
Doesn't it have consequences to the peace that we have and we are maintaining
Yeah,
when
vegan,
he would say that if he doesn't behave himself, the government will go after him?
Is there any final message for the Unity Party, most especially PR?
Well, I want to say to you, every day these people are provoking the peace. Every day they are provoking the peace. And we are the custodian of these peace. You're right. His comments are provocative. His comments are totally out of turn. He spoke in a very indisciplined way. But I'm saying to you, Andrew, we are not disturbed by that because we empathize and pity the creature that making the exception. This creature is being described as an unintended child that was not intended to be given birth to, and like somebody said, a political odiwari. And you know, West belong in the evil forest. So we try to target these people, and that's what things are. But again, we want to say to the United Party that the CDC of 205, CDC of 211, the CDC of 2014 have been rebirthed. The owners of the movement are rose up to the occasion. They were jealous to protect the sanctity of the Liberian people. And never again we will sit as spectators and watch Mr. Buarka and his desperado continue to trample on the rights of the Liberian people. If Mr. Buarka comes here and conduct himself appropriately in the mass interest, the general interest of the Liberian people, he enjoy the support of the CDC. And that's why we did not hesitate, Mr. Andrew, to graciously take over state power. It is because our love, admiration, and respect. And that's what we did. So we want to say thank you, calling all of our partisans. Sunday is a D-Day. Saturday will be the climax of the games. Sunday you come, and we'll also be announcing to you. And please take this very keenly. The day we will announce the arrival of the people's president, His Excellency Dr. George Manawia, will be asking you